Hey, this is Brianna, Communication Specialist for Action for Better Communities, Protect Your Circle, and I want to share my experience with getting COVID-19, testing positive, and having to go through that a little bit ago. So I did not think that when I tested for COVID-19, I did an at-home test that I was going to test positive. I had a small cough. It was a cough that I attributed to sleeping with the fan on, because that happens a lot with me. You know, I sleep with the fan on, wake up, a little tickle in my throat, happens all the time. Then Saturday, I had a runny nose. The cough was a little worse, and that is what made me test for it, just because my symptoms got a little worse, but I still wasn't expecting to get a positive response when I got tested that day. And it did wind up being positive. And from there, of course, I quarantined in my house when I alerted Monroe County that I had a positive test, and they sent me an isolation order for the next 5 days, or I think it's 5 days from when your symptoms began. That Friday, I had actually went into both my jobs, saw multiple people, associates and friends that day as well. So when I tested positive that Saturday morning, I started to contact everyone I had been in contact with, let them know that I tested positive. Some of them were really surprised because they were like, "You were fine." I work at places of employment that will pay you for your leave when you are sick and positive with COVID. I just had to send in my isolation order from Monroe County, and Action for a Better Community is going to reimburse me for the days that I had to quarantine and work from home as well once I was feeling better. So luckily, I tested myself Saturday morning, and that kept me from being around more people unknowingly positive. I had been planning at first to go see my mother and my family in Buffalo. My mom is recovering from surgery right now. She was diagnosed with tongue cancer back in February and had surgery at the beginning of April to remove the cancer. So being around her and possibly positive would have been an absolute disaster. My symptoms were very mild, but I was more concerned about protecting those around me and keeping them from getting sick. People like my mother who are super high risk, and even with my girlfriend, she has asthma. And her body like shuts down at the smallest sign of something wrong. So I can only imagine what having COVID how that would have impacted her. It was really important for me to make sure everyone else around me could take precautions and be safe and not get sick just because I happened to get sick. Even though while I had COVID, I had such mild symptoms, it could have led to something worse if someone around me who is more at risk had contracted it. I do think because I have the vaccine and that I'm boosted, I do think that's why I had such mild symptoms, because I fall into a lot of at-risk categories. Not a lot of, but a few. And statistically, I shouldn't have done well during COVID. I should have at least felt something more than what I did. So I do definitely attribute that to being vaccinated and being boosted.